So here we are then, we're basically at the halfway point of the NASCAR Cup Series season. We just had round 16 at Sonoma. I watched this race live. I know this is nearly a week late, but it's because if you look at my daily schedule, there's a lot going on at the moment in the world of motorsport. So yeah, I'm recording this a couple of days after the fact. It's probably going to come out a couple of days later. But let's talk about this race at Sonoma, a repaved Sonoma. A Sonoma that looked a bit nicer than usual. It looked a bit less deserty because, well, there's been rain in the area at some point in the past year. But overall, it was quite a funky race. Lots of movers and shakers. Lots of changes around in the order. Just even from the outset. I mean, Denny Hamlin, I think I heard somebody say it was the first time the FedEx scheme's been the primary. Well, the primary FedEx scheme has been on the car since Talladega. And he blew a motor after 2 laps. Then JGR didn't have a day that got much better because Ty Gibbs was out when he struck the wall at the final corner, which, yeah, that's gonna do that to a car. You know, break the toe link, damage the suspension, end the day for a driver. Joey Logano tried to pit early and sacrifice the stage points to get a win. And what happened to him? Well, he ended up caught in a wreck at the end of stage 1. I mean, he managed to finish at the end, and it wasn't, you know, the absolute worst finish in the world. It was still 21st at the end of it all. But he managed to make it to the end, which is better than a lot of other drivers. The first stage, it was won by the 45 car. It was won by Tyler Reddick, who he looked like he could have done well. But what was it? Pit stop woes in the end that delegated him to an 8th place finish. Behind Blaney. Behind AJ, of course, road course ringer. Then Chastain, who had been performing quite well. Dump and run Kyle Busch, who ran out of fuel, which we'll get to in a moment. Chase Elliott. Then 2 Fords of Buescher and McDowell. McDowell's been in great form on road courses, hasn't he? And then Kyle Larson picked up the win. Now, I did mention Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch ended up running out of fuel. But at the end of it, he still managed to come across credited with 12th. Same can't be said for his former teammate Martin Truex Jr., who gets credited with 27th place for running out of fuel, coming out of the final corner, having to coast across the line. And of course, there are lots of rumours about next season, about whether Truex will return or whether he will retire. It would be nice to see him stick around, but I've not got any kind of skin in the game in terms of being a fan of a particular NASCAR driver or team, so lots of interesting things happening in the sport at the moment. What it does mean for the championship is that Kyle Larson, who's had his playoff points all restored now, is back into the regular season points lead. He is 14 points clear of Chase Elliott. Denny Hamlin is another 12 points back. Which, given that he blew a motor and is credited with 38th, that's fair enough. Tyler Reddick is 4th. Truex is still 5th. The highest up to not win on the year so far. Then it's Byron, Keselowski, Gibbs, who also still hasn't won on the year. Still hasn't won in Cup. Then Bell in the top 10 is rounded out by Chastain. Again, another non-winner. There's Bowman, Blaney, Buescher, Wallace, Busch and Logano in terms of the top 16 in points. We have to remember Cindric won, so that pushes Logano out and below the cut line. We have to remember that Suarez also won, which pushes Kyle Busch out. So Kyle Busch is now outside of the playoff cut line. I mean, the gap between him and the person who is above it, Bubba Wallace, is 13 points. And Bubba Wallace is 26 points off of Chris Buescher. But it just goes to show how much some of these teams and some of these drivers are struggling this season, because you got 2 champions the wrong side of the cut line. Just the wrong side of the cut line, sure, but the wrong side of the cut line. It'll be interesting to see how Iowa goes this weekend. That will be cool to see. The NBC booth for the first time without Dale Jr. in forever, as he's not returned for this season. And Fox, it was alright for them, but for the teams who are missing out now, because it was their last Xfinity race on the weekend, and of course race hubs being closed down, I'm gonna hope that the staff who've been working on that stuff, working in sport, find their feet somewhere, even if it's working for NASCAR, because that's what you find with these passionate sporting series, and you find that people do care about their jobs and they're good at them. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching and hope to see you again soon. Bye for now.